Assembly is intended to be performed by certified technicians with proper tools and safety work equipment. If you do not have adequate knowledge of ATV or scooter assembly, maintenance, or repair, seek the services of qualified technicians.
First step is to cut the straps with 10 snips.
After that, just take off the cardboard box and the scooter should look like this. We use a number 14 key to disassemble the cage, and we usually use the impact because it's much faster, and hit it away. To get the tire off the cage, use 10 snips, please. First, take the top cage off and then proceed with the sidebars that are connected to the bottom. Then put the steering wheel on temporarily and take off all the bubble wrap. After taking out the bubble wrap, you will see that you have bolts in the seat, you have mirrors, owner's manual, and a battery, which we'd have to fill. Let's get a little toolkit and battery cap and your Vin Number Plate, which should go right there. And this piece goes here. Use a Phillips screwdriver to screw this piece on there. This is where the VIN number is located, and that's the little plate that goes right over it. You just snap that with your hand right in there. This little piece is not a very strong piece, but a lot of people just hang a grocery bag on that. We're going to start on the front of our scooter right there, and we got a metal bracket that's need to be put on by 2 bolts there, as you can see. Usually the bolts are right there, and you could just take them out and put them new after you put the bracket in, or you could use the cage bolts. They are the same thread. You have the voltage regulator, a horn on it, and you have the hydraulic hose and the main cable right there in front of you. You want to put them on top instead of back there. If you put them behind the metal bracket, they will rub because there's a sharper edge there and it could rub through. Big safety thing. We have a fuse here, which is your main electrical system lights fuse, and if this one goes out, usually the whole electrical system, all the lights don't work, and this is where you go to check it. It comes with the spare fuse, and to properly check it is to take the spare fuse and stick it right in the circuit, and that's how you check the fuse. We have another fuse here that's for the alarm system, and if your alarm system is not working, check that fuse right there. Next thing is you want to attach the wheel, and before you can put the wheel on, you have to remove the scooter from this cage. And to do so, you need to unscrew this bolt and take out the axle because it's holding on to the frame. After that, you need to lift the scooter on a jack. We like to use this type of jack right there because it lifts up, and after that it's much easier to put the wheel on. After lifting the scooter up on the jack, we are ready to put on the front wheel, steering wheel on, and we like to put that on first because, as you can see, you have to make it into that little tiny hole. To do so, you need to lift the steering wheel up a little bit, and we're going to show you the bolts that we're going to need for this. This is what you need to put on your front steering wheel, and you're also going to need thread lock. Very important. You will need to put a spacer, which is right there, into the steering wheel. Then the bolt. After you slide the bolt through, you need to use thread lock to put on the bolt. After thread lock, use a washer, a special washer that looks like that. Then the bolt, and tighten it up really good. Now we're ready to put on the front tire. Before we can put the front tire on, as you can see, we have a hydraulic brake here, and this space here needs to be pried open. And we usually put it on the thing first, move it here, and pry it open with a screwdriver slowly. Be careful not to damage the front brakes. On the front rim, as you can see, there's a spacer that needs to go in your front rim, like so, before you could put it on. On the other side of the rim, you have little pieces like that. That's for your speedometer, and those little holes have to match up with those in there. Next, we have the most hardest thing, and reason for that is because you have a short cable here that can only go so far, and your disc has to go in your disc brakes all at the same time with this piece. And you remember, you have to match up the little holes in the speedometer with the little pieces there inside, all at the same time while lifting the front rim into place. Usually you need 2 people for that. On the front rim, you should make sure that the speedometer, which is a little piece right there, it's got a little groove in there for it to stand in one spot. Make sure whenever you're lifting it up to make it in there. Then put the axle through in there, so you can see it closely there. And on this side, you can see there's a spacer, and we actually made it into the brake. This brake behind there, you can barely see them. And now we're ready to tighten it up. Before you could do so, put some thread lock on there and tighten it up. You're pretty much done with the front tire. At the rear shock, before you can put the rear shocks on, you will need to remove the exhaust support. And on the exhaust support, you can see the little white plastics on them. Take those out because they'll start melting. Make it look like this one. As you can see, now you are ready to put the bolt on. You can kind of move the shock a little bit lower, just a tad bit, not too much. You don't want to break the exhaust where it's holding at the engine. This is the bolt that we use to put the rear shock on, and you need to put thread lock on there also. That's a key thing. And as you can see, the shock itself actually has a thread right there where it goes into, so you just need to screw this in really good, and that's it. On the opposite side, you have the air intake, and underneath the air intake you still have enough space to put a socket with an extension and still do away with that. To put the rear rack on the scooter, you will need 4 bolts, 1 on each side and 2 on top. The ones that go on top need a plastic washer in them to prevent from vibration, and they go in there. On the front headlight panel, we need to put a few things on before we actually put it on the scooter. These are little clips that attach like this. Kind of make sure that the hole is aligned. There are 4 places. You got one here, there, and in the front, there and there. Now you are ready to put the front headlight panel on. Before doing so, you need to hook up the front lights. like that. And you need to be careful about little spacers like this to go into the holes like that, because if you're not careful with them, you'll break them off. They're really easy to break. Okay, as you can see, the headlight panel is actually lapping over the front plastic, and we usually use the bigger screws in here. The smaller ones go here, and also don't forget about the screws that go in the front that are right there. And you can see underneath the front headlight panel, you got a Phillips screwdriver that goes right in there, and you got another one on this side. To put the floor mat on, you'll first need to unscrew the leg piece thing where you put the leg peg, and you put the leg peg on there and you screw it on. Simple as that. To put the front mirrors on, you will need a tool piece like this that's located underneath the seat and a tool kit. To fill the battery properly, you will need to take it up to an upper level. If you ever overcharge it, there's an overflow. You need to install this and route it outside in case you overcharge it or the battery wants to leak acid and it could escape through the tube. Each compartment should be filled individually to the upper level. And to do it correctly, you must fill it about to the lower first and wait till the bubbles go away. Then take it up to the highest level. Whenever you are filling the battery, you will need to wear good gloves, and this stuff is very harmful for you. This stuff will eat through your hands pretty easy, so be careful with it. After the battery is filled, you will need to put it in the scooter. To do so, you will need to take one of these bolts first, put them in there, wire a tube that goes into this hole down here, and then you have one negative wire that you hook up, and you have two positive wires that go here on the positive section. One on the negative, two on a positive. Simple as that. After making sure that the fuse is good on there, and two wires that are red on this side and only one black on this side, and putting the tube in there, you're ready to put the battery inside. After putting the battery in, and you can put the cover case on there, you got two screws right there. After assembling a scooter, you will need to go around and check all the bolts, make sure they're tight. To adjust the rear brake, which is right there, you need to screw it in a clockwise position like that to make it harder. And you got to move this handlebar to do so. After adjusting brakes, checking all the bolts that are loose, you'll need to fill the gas in there, which requires high octane, the 93, the premium. You must check the proper oil level. It should be about the middle. When the oil is checked, it should be on the kickstand. Make sure that your throttle cable is freely moving and there's no hoses that are catching it here. Because if they are, it'll be big trouble. As you can see, this screw right there is your speed governor. You can see whenever you give it gas, it hits the screw. If you're going off-road and you need more speed, that's the screw you need to take out to go faster. That's only for off-road only.